President, and I enjoy calling you by that title. I hope you do too. Because you know that you could easily fill that title as President of this body or President of the United States. You've shown your qualification for either one. But let me speak in your role as President of the Senate. That makes you a member of this body, a body that can be, and on some occasions has been, the conscience of the nation. You have served longer in this body than any other member here. I look at the fact you've served here 2 years longer than I have. And so, as the other longest-serving member, I look at you as my senior senator, and I'm delighted to be your junior. And I think back to some of the things we did together. Mr. President, I remember when I was running for the Senate in Vermont in 1974, and people told me I was far too young to get elected to the Senate at 34 years old. My predecessor was somebody who'd been elected the year I was born and had served there till I arrived. And you came for the Vermont Democratic Party. You put your arm around me and you said, you know, it'd be nice to have an older person in that body I can look up to. I believe you were 32 and I was 34. But that helped, of course. But little did I know until I came here how closely we would work together. We served on the Judiciary Committee throughout that time. We worked on such duties as Supreme Court nominations, civil rights, criminal justice system. And then when you were chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, and bringing to the rest of the world American values, which happen to be Joe Biden values. How much I enjoyed traveling with you. And I think of the time, Mr. President, when you and I and our wives, Jill and Marcel, traveled together. We've been good friends throughout all that time. I'll take the liberty of telling one story. When the four of us were in Paris, we'd gone out to dinner. It's a cold winter night. We're coming back, and I think Marcel mentioned that the Eiffel Tower lights up on the hour. And you and Jill stood on a bench, and you were hugging each other. The Eiffel Tower lit up behind you. I snapped a picture. Now, we had a close friendship. We never lied to each other, but that was one time I lied to you because you asked me where was the picture, and I said, I think I've lost it. I apologize. What our wives were doing were conspiring to print up that picture, and I know your wonderful wife gave it to you for a wedding anniversary present with words to the effect that you light up her life. Well, you've lit up many lives. I think of our Irish bond of friendship, stories I can't tell, some of those closed-door sessions with other Irish Americans like Pat Moynihan and Chris Dodd and Ted Kennedy, when we would have some holy water together. Somehow it came from Ireland. It was usually at least 12 years old. And we would tell Irish stories. And after 42 years here, I know the rules well enough. I can't repeat any of those stories here. But they were good ones because it was our friendship and we worked together. We learned in that we'd bring in others from both parties. And Mr. President, I remember you and the others showing all of us how you found common ground. And we did things together. And I respect you so much for that. I must admit I learned something else on the Judiciary Committee. I learned the Amtrak schedule. Because if we had a meeting that was going on a little bit long, we were reminded what time the train was going to Delaware. I know you kept in good shape because you could run in 3 minutes to the station and get on the train, where you'd go home to Bo and Hunter, and later Jill and Ashley. Because even though you were a leader in the United States Senate, and later as vice president, you were first and foremost father and a husband. You and I and Marcel talked about that this summer when you came to Vermont for the cancer moonshot. And I told you what an important part of our lives you've been, and hope we of yours. You've gone through tragedy and glory, but you've remained yourself throughout all of it. And the memories of those evenings when you let this Irish-Italian boy come in and sit as a member of the Irish, and we speak of our values, we speak of America. We speak of friendship. And that's why I admire you, Mr. President. I'm glad to be here on the floor with you. President, I yield the floor.